All right, friends, I'm going to go ahead and start the recording, and then Ray, you can take it on whenever you're ready.
Great. I was just telling Carissa, this may be the most interesting topic I've ever had to discuss. what are files and how do we store them? But so let's go through this. Basically, I want this to be about you guys, not about me. So I'm going to go over some basics, and then if you guys have specific questions, let's just kind of go through them. Ned also, I see he's pulling up to the building. That's kind of cool to have the play-by-play. Ned can help correct me if I say anything wrong or stupid. Okay, so first thing, we gotta get a couple of labels out of the way. When we talk about files, you know, what really are they? We talk about the system all the time. The system is the thing that provides the interface between you and the computer. So it's things like, you know, if you're on Apple, it's iOS. If you're on Microsoft, it's Windows. Google, it's Chrome. Same thing with your phone, you know, an iOS phone or an Android phone. Applications are the next level. Those are programs that interface with that system and let you do what you need to do. So for us, it's all the Office system, Office 365, you know, Word, Excel, all those. And then things like Gatekeeper, too. All those are applications. And for a lot of you, you know that we sometimes write our own applications and get those in there too. So finally, there's files, and not every application has user modified files, and Gatekeeper is a good example. There aren't a lot of files that you're going to see coming that you have to manipulate in Gatekeeper, but there's a ton of them behind the scenes. Other things like Word, it's all about creating files. Okay, so I thought we'd have a really quick history lesson. This is the first computer our agency ever bought. And I know that because I bought it. It was a really cool IBM compatible machine with not one but two floppy drives. The floppy drive there at the bottom is what we put in it. There was no hard drive. One of those floppy drives could store my entire caseload for a year back then. Okay, so let's go over a little bit about what how we measure space, because whenever you store a file, you got to know how much it takes. So a byte is basically what it takes to store one single character. If you're storing 1,000 characters, that would be a kilobyte. If you're storing 1,000,000 characters, that's a megabyte. 1 billion, gigabyte, 1 trillion, terabyte. Okay? So all you need to know is that more numbers are better. So going back to that floppy disk, that one floppy disk could store 360,000 bytes. It sounds like a lot, 360,000 letters. But I called up my son's last ISP, and his ISP alone took 1,020,000 bytes, or 3 floppy disks if we were working in 1990. Okay, so here we go, quick quiz. How much space do you think we need for all the ISPs that from that entire ISP directory on the F drive? How much space do you think we need? Feel free to unmute yourself and take a guess.
20,000 floppy disks.
20,000 floppy disks, not bad. Anybody else?
Are we speaking in terms of floppy disks or terabyte?
Either way, because I have both.
I'd say 200 terabytes.
200 terabytes. Yow. Okay, anybody else? Okay, well, let me say, okay, so 16.5 gigabytes. Okay, so not quite the 200 terabytes that you want to have there, Shelley, but so 45,000 files, 7,662 folders. If you do the math on that, that comes out to 49,633 floppy disks if we were storing it in 1990s technology. Okay, now not all files are created equal. So storing, storing an ISP, that's a whole lot of text, not a lot of pictures, no videos, right? So the flip side of that is Temple's directory for public relations. How big do you think her directory is on our F drive?
Only twice as much.
2 gigabytes.
Way bigger.
A terabyte.
Okay, so it's 86.6 gigabytes, but about half the files and 1/7 of the folders, or if we were doing it in floppy disks, 258,000 floppy disks in 1990s technology. So yeah, there are single picture files that would take 10 floppy disks to store if we were storing it in the same, using the same things. So, okay, so we're just going to go over a couple of different ways to store files and where you can store them. Carissa, first, we're going to start with your favorite. If Michelle Dexter is on here, she'd be here too. So storing it on your desktop. Okay, so and what I want everybody to do, since you're on your computers right now, if you haven't done this yet, I'd like you to go ahead and practice this. So if you're so inclined, go ahead and call up Windows Explorer, and I can do it with you if you want. Does anybody need me? Raise your hand if you need me to show you how to do this. But on the main F drive, I put a file. I'll bring it up. I have to do the F drive a little differently these days. But I left a little file on there named file demo. And if you want to drag it to your desktop, all you have to do is click on it and then drag it to the desktop that way. You just drop it on the thing that says desktop. Or if you make your screen smaller so you can see part of your desktop, you can just drag it right onto the desktop. Make sense? So if you want to, go ahead and do that. That way, if you have any questions, we can talk about it.
I can't find how to make your screen smaller. I'm just still trying to do that.
Okay, if you see up at the top or left-hand corner, or right-hand corner rather,
I see view.
see where there's like the X and then two other symbols? If you click the second one, that will make it just partial screen.
I just have all black up at the top here.
I think, Ray, since you're screen sharing, it makes it harder to see some of the icons. I had to go up. There's a tiny icon up there.
Let's
And
go ahead and stop sharing and maybe you can see it better.
Ah, there we go. Okay. All right. So you want us to do what?
Just drag that file from Windows Explorer right over to your desktop, and it'll drop a copy onto your desktop.
What file?
Okay, if you start up Windows Explorer, do you know how to do that?
Well, yeah, I'm in it already for this.
Okay, and then go to the F drive.
I'm sorry, you've lost me.
Okay, tell you what.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
That's why I'm in this class. I need basic.
It's all right. Tell you what, can you share your screen?
No.
So at the bottom of the screen, there should be a green share screen button.
Well, in this
Mine told me I didn't have permission to do it.
Yeah, in this
Chris-
I have file tabs at the top, so I've got it.
Carissa, can you enable sharing?
yeah, I had the same message.
When I tried to drag that, it says the files might be harmful to your computer. I tried to drag it to the.
It's probably because it's a photoshopped image of John. It might be harmful to your computer. No.
As long as you're not sharing yours, it says that one participant can share at a time, or I can make it so multiple participants can share simultaneously.
We can just do one at a
All
time.
participants- Okay.
What is the name of the file? Is it file demo?
Yeah, file demo.
That was created on 2/13/2015.
Oh, that's on your screen. I'm confused.
A bunch of us are getting the error message that says we don't have permission to.
You don't have permission to do that, huh?
A lot of people I don't think can get on the F drive.
Yeah.
Are you on
Mine
a
says you need
VPN?
permission to perform this action. You require permission from the computer's administrator to make changes to this file. And I was just trying to drag it and drop it.
Oh, that's interesting.
You can't. You have to be on the VPN. So in order to access the F drive from, even if it's a link connected to the F drive.
No, but depending on their permissions, they still might have a problem doing that. So you might want to just pick any other file on your own computer. Especially something in the temp directory would be fine to copy over if you want to. Or something from your documents directory if you want to copy it onto the
Whose screen is this? The blue one.
So this is Kathy Curry's,
It makes me very happy.
because it's all in a row.
It's all organized by color.
I was gonna say it gives me anxiety.
There you go. Very, very well done.
Hey, Ray.
Yeah.
I noticed I tried to go into our Imagine folder under the services and supports, which to just pull a discovery module, and it won't let me get into any of them. I used to be able to, but I can't anymore.
VPN, Sherry.
Yeah, it was, I could get into the F drive and everything, and when I got that message, you need to, something about system administrator, basically I didn't have the permissions to open it. It's like it was the same type of message I get if I open something I'm not supposed to try to open or whatever, or don't have access to.
That's interesting. Yeah, we're gonna have to take a look at that separately, I think. So, but yeah, the concept here would be just to get through. So Kathy, did you have a file that you could copy over to the, kind of show everybody what it would be like to copy a file over to your desktop?
All I see is black. Is that what everybody is seeing?
Nope, you should be seeing a blue screen.
I see black and your face is at the top. See, that's what happened when I tried to get out and do stuff. Oh, wait a minute, start video. No, that's me. That doesn't matter.
I only have black too.
Oh,
When you're asked to share, did you select the window that looked like your computer screen? Because sometimes it'll give you different images, like you can share this or this or this. That's one other thing that'll.
By the way, Kathy wants everybody to know that it's not by color, it's by file type. So there. Still comforting. Okay, I think what we're going to do here is, Kathy, go ahead and stop sharing yours.
says I am viewing Kay Curry's screen and it's black.
Carissa, you might, as host, you may have to unshare her.
Okay, there's people.
Okay. So
There
So
we go. Thank you.
let's go ahead and practice this when you're on your own or as we're doing this. If you have any problems with this afterwards, just let me know, and we can walk you through all of this, even if we have to come and sit by your side. It's totally okay. So let's talk about a little bit of the advantages and disadvantages of each method here. Advantages is that it's really easy to find. This is why everybody does it, because the files that I use most often, I can put up on my screen and I can just find them when I need them. The disadvantage, Carissa, you want to talk about the disadvantages?
Sure. The disadvantages include losing your work multiple times after you've even after you've reinstalled them, and then losing them again. And maybe you did that 3 times before you got smarter.
There you go. Couldn't say it better myself. Yeah, so the deal is that these are closely attached to your profile. If for any reason the profile crashes, so do all your files. So from a stable standpoint, if these are things that you really depend on every day, not a great place to keep them. Okay, my documents. This is probably where most of us store our documents, and everybody has some experience of that, right? Kind of wave if you do. So advantages, pretty easy to find. You get used to it. You can create your own subfolders, and here's the big advantage: if you're doing it to My Documents, those are backed up periodically on our servers. So as long as you're attached through the VPN when you're remote, or if you're in the office when we get back there, this is backed up periodically, and so you have some chance of retrieving something that you know, should something go wrong with your own computer. Disadvantages is that it can be lost. It's not as likely, but it can be. If our backups aren't good and your computer crashes, it's possible that we could lose those. The only other disadvantage is that you have to be able to organize your files in a way that you're going to remember them. For some people, like me, that can be troublesome once you get up, you know, into a couple thousand folders. The C drive, or storing it locally, has anybody done that? Again, just wave your hand if you have. So there's an advantage here in that it's always available even when you're not connected to the internet. So if you have something that you need to work on, you know you're not going to be in Wi-Fi range, but you need to get it done. I'm thinking of a complex spreadsheet, or maybe you're writing a plan or whatever. You can save a local copy of that on your C drive. Just create a folder and save it on your C drive, and that'll work really well. It's very fast, it's effective, and as long as your computer doesn't crash, you're doing very well. The disadvantage is that it's never backed up unless you back it up. So you have to create backups of your own file, either by creating a copy and putting it somewhere else that is backed up, or on a thumb drive or an external device. Which brings us to thumb drives and external devices. Okay, so let's have a little talk about these. So first off, they're pretty cool. They're portable. They're really easy to use. They're pretty inexpensive, and some of them are getting really, you know, really elaborate. This bottom picture here of the Samsung is one that just came out, and it actually has a built-in fingerprint reader. So, you know, the big problem with flash drives and with portable hard drives is that they're not very secure. This actually makes it so that only you can open up this external hard drive. So kind of cool that way. Advantages are that they're huge, they're cheap, they're small. You can move them from place to place really easily, and that's not bad. The disadvantages are that they're easy to use, very easy to take. If your computer at home is infected with a virus, it's very easy to bring it back and infect our system with it. And so that all by itself is a great reason never to use them. And then here's the big deal, is that if you store client data on a flash drive or on one of these compact discs and you lose it, that's considered a HIPAA breach. And if it's a large HIPAA breach, this could be a huge deal. So I want to talk just a little bit about that. this is something in my hometown in Rochester, New York. They had this incredibly huge HIPAA breach from 2013 to 2017. And what happened was that they store pretty much their entire patient database on portable hard drives and on an unsecured computer. Originally to transfer it from one system to another, but then it was never destroyed, and eventually they were stolen. And so this resulted in millions of dollars, $3 million settlement with DHS over this thing. And they still had to, provide all sorts of additional accommodation to the people whose security was stolen. In our case, just let's say as an example that somehow we put our entire database of individuals on a flash disk, that would be considered, if we lost that, that would be considered a major HIPAA breach and require us to notify every family, to notify local news agencies, and to file directly with HHS that we had a HIPAA breach over 500 people. The fines are always substantial when that happens. So I always try to put this point across just to make sure everybody understands that HIPAA breaches in this case can be really, really extensive. So the question is, if you're not going to use a flash drive and you're not going to use a portable hard drive, what do you wind up doing? And so this is where cloud-based solutions are really coming on strong. Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, a lot of those are able to transfer files safely. You still have to encrypt those files. And so I want to take a moment, because we have the time, I want to take a moment just to show you how to do that.
Do you have a task analysis for us on this?
This is actually easier than you think it might be. So, so I'm just going to start a Word file. New blank document. This is a test. Make it kind of big, and then I'm going to insert that picture that we were looking at. There we go. Okay, so that's my test. Everybody see that? Okay, so usually when you save it, you just go up to File and then do Save As, right? Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we'll click Browse. Actually, hold on one second. I'm going to do it a different way, I think. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to File and Info. And then we're going to say Protect Document. And so here you have all sorts of different things you can do. But what we're going to do is encrypt with password. And then you can type in whatever password you want. Okay. And from there, you just do the save as like you would normally. We're just going to do this as a test. Let's do it. I'm just going to do it in my temp directory. Okay. And that's all there is to it. Now, when I come back into it, I go to where I saved it. In this case, I put it in my temp directory. And if we did everything well, so it'll come up and it'll ask for that password that we gave. And so without the password, nobody's going to be able to see it. And I got to warn you on this, that there's no backup to that. If you put a password on an important document and you forget what that password is, it's done. They're very, very difficult to open up otherwise. Any questions on that part? Feel free to unmute yourselves if you do.
Ray,
Yeah.
so did you mean that, in other words, your computer will not save that if you have that function?
No, so if you encrypt it, it will save it, but it'll save it with that password attached. And so no one can open it. So then I can attach it to an email. I can do anything I want with it because it's actually HIPAA compatible at that point. So I can even put that out in a public email address because only the people that I tell the password to can open it.
Okay, so if I were to send out an ISP that way, I would have to tell them the password to open it?
Yeah, and the best practice there would be to either send a separate email with the password or to have the password be something that only they would know. You know, like the password is your daughter's birth date. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like our pay stubs.
That's what I was gonna say, like our pay stubs.
Like the pay stub. Yeah. That's a great example. But so that's the only way to transmit something and have it be thoroughly acceptable to HIPAA is to have it encrypted. HIPAA's actual gold standard is to have it encrypted, what they say, encrypted at rest, meaning that even on our servers, they would like to see that data encrypted even there. So like some of the databases that we've created, like for the Community Connections Manager, those kinds of things where we're taking information out of Gatekeeper and storing it in another location, those are actually encrypted at rest. And so unless you have our program, you can't open it up and see anything.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I have not been using OneDrive, and everyone tells me I should be, and I just haven't done it. When I work on budgets for people, I'm saving stuff, and I save it like my documents, and I have folders for everyone and folders for households, and then years, and then it has redebts and revisions, and it's all organized really neatly. So can I take that stuff and copy it over? I don't know how, or do I have to start all fresh?
No, great segue into the next slide. Okay, so OneDrive is something we all have on our computers, or should have on our computers. If you don't, that's something that you want to talk to Ned about to make sure that we get it on your computer. It may not be activated. So let me show you what mine looks like.
So is OneDrive the same as the C drive?
No, OneDrive is not. So if you call up your Explorer, and you can feel free to do it now, you should see a OneDrive entry there. Okay, so like what I did is I took my most important directories and I copied them over to my OneDrive directory. I moved them from my documents and I pushed them over to OneDrive.
So I can just take that, like Because I have a folder for like shared sites, non-shared, selfs. I can just drag that whole folder over there.
Yes, given this warning. Okay, so first off, even though this says OneDrive, my OneDrive isn't actually activated on this computer yet.
Okay.
Jay and I are working on this. So in my particular case, this doesn't have anything, this isn't actually storing it up into the cloud at all. It's just storing it into a different place on my hard drive. It's ready to upload it and synchronize it with the stuff in the cloud, but it's not doing that yet. And Jay, I just talked to Jay yesterday, and he hasn't actually turned on that functionality to happen automatically for all of us. That'll happen probably around the first of the year, where he will automatically make it so that anything we do, every time we save it, we'll save it to OneDrive by default, and that will automatically go up to the cloud. And so you might be asking, okay, so what are the advantages of having this go up to the cloud? Why is this any better than having it go to a server that Jay backs up every night? And the advantage is this, that when you're offline, so when you're not connected to the VPN and you're not connected to our network, you can still access your OneDrive account off any web-enabled machine. So even your phone, a tablet, any of those things, if you know your password into your, into your county account, you can access your OneDrive anywhere. So it makes it kind of nice that way, in that you'll be able to have access wherever you need it, whenever you need it. The other advantage is that all these things are being backed up now on virtual servers. So, when we go back to using those, if you go back to our times of using floppy disks, if you ran out of a floppy disk, you had to get another one. For those of you who've been around more than 5 years, you probably remember when our servers would run out of space and we had to purge stuff off our servers in order to create more space to store more files so we could keep going. Those days are done because we're using what's called a virtual server. So all we're using is space out there in the cloud, and those spaces grow for us as soon as we need them. So if we need another 100 gigabytes, boom, we have another 100 gigabytes. Our data is probably spread out all over the country at this point. And the advantage to that is that if even one huge data center goes down, the other data centers have enough information that they can cover it. And so it just provides a lot more security for our stuff. Now we're still backing up. We still do backups, but the data itself is much more secure being in these virtual environments.
Okay, so here's another weird. Oh, sorry, Sherry.
I didn't say anything.
Okay,
This is now.
we
Go ahead, Ted.
If you don't mind me
files.
jumping in for a little bit here for a second. First of all, drag and drop with the OneDrive is a big, huge no-no. So the drag and drop, I honestly do not recommend it whatsoever. For the benefits that Ray was speaking of, one of them basically it's availability, like what he said, accessibility, and I think he did mention security because of, but the biggest thing for me is actually working offline and shareable. So if you have a document that you're actually sharing, multiple people would be able to share the same exact document in real life, and you'll be able to see the changes on that document immediately.
Yeah, in resource management, we have one document that Michelle and Kathy and I use all the time.
Correct.
In there, we all use the one same document.
Correct.
And yeah, that works perfectly for us.
Yeah, they basically call it files on demand syncing, if that makes any sense. But also the ability to work offline, it's a big, huge thing, especially when you're having issues with VPN or trying to actually modify a document or work on something. With OneDrive, you'll be able to work offline. And once you get online, it will load everything up for you.
So here's the deal, though. This is again from Jay from yesterday, and then Ned, I want you to go back and talk a little bit about why dragging and dropping is not acceptable. Only because I haven't heard that yet, and so I'd like to hear that from you. But so in talking with Jay, this will become the default location in 2021. He's a little worried, frankly, about when he activates it, because when he activates it, it will likely include a new default directory. And so he's asking that if you do use OneDrive right now, move everything on OneDrive to just the documents directory, and then he'll be sure not to overwrite that directory. If that makes sense. So, yeah, so
Can I just leave my stuff where it is until Jay does his thing, and then I'll start using it?
We're coming up. We're coming up to the time he's going to implement it. That might not be a bad idea. I didn't realize that what he was going to do might actually have some negative effects, but he was concerned about that. He's working on it, and he's convinced that he can get it to the point where it won't be destructive when he does it. But at this point, he can't really guarantee it. So this is something that's coming down the pike. It's not something that it's operational for a few of us now, and I think that once it's activated, it's going to be very cool. But it's not activated countywide yet.
So how do we find out?
How
do we find out if ours is activated?
How about Monica? You go first, and then Carissa.
Oh, sorry, that's good. This is quick. So I have saved a few things in there, just like testing it out. And then when I'm in Teams and I use the files in Teams, things are listed there. Are those just things that I can see? Like when I go to Teams and I go to files.
Yes, Monica, it is. The only time that it would be visible to somebody else as well is if you shared it in a chat.
Okay, because I saw them in there and I'm like, holy moly, I saved that on OneDrive. Why is it in my Microsoft Teams now?
But also remember, Monica, if you save it there, then if you share it, then it becomes being able to be edited by anybody you share it with. So if that's your only document, you might want to keep another backup.
But I don't want them in Teams. That's the thing. They just show up in my recent documents.
So Teams is built on SharePoint. So everything that we do in Teams is actually saved somewhere in SharePoint under our name as well. I only kind of can make sense of that. So Ned, you might be able to elaborate. But
I can, because
I've shared things on Teams.
Where it says Monica's OneDrive, like the location.
Yeah.
It says Monica Cooperwriter OneDrive / whatever. So I guess that makes sense.
So it's like this, where you come into Teams and you see OneDrive, and then you can see the things that you have stored there.
Well, mine at the top says recent file, and maybe
sure.
I haven't changed my view or something. And
no, I can see where it would say that. My guess is that you're just seeing your files.
Okay.
You're not necessarily seeing files that other people can edit.
Oh yeah, because see along the left where I'm clicked on recent over there. In your left-hand menu where you're on OneDrive, mine is up on recent because I'm in our budget tracking all the time. So it's the one at the top all the time.
Yeah, so these are just be things that you had been in.
Okay.
So nothing big and hairy and bad there.
Okay.
So that's all right. Now, if you were in Teams and you saw your files start to come up under a team, that would be something different, right? That would be when somebody else would have access to your files.
Okay.
Okay. Carissa, you had a point you wanted to make?
Well, I had two actually, because I've had issues with this. But so Ned had mentioned something about you shouldn't drag and drop. Well, when I lost my computer froze again just recently, the stuff that I had saved on my C drive, when we tried to upload them to the OneDrive, it didn't sync properly. So there were issues when I did that. But in addition, you were saying that maybe it's not connected, like the county has to connect something, or it's not actually going to the OneDrive how do you know if it's there?
Okay, so one is that if you click down here in the lower right-hand portion of your screen, and you click that little up arrow, somewhere in here should be an icon for OneDrive. If there isn't, this is just another location. If you click on the properties under that OneDrive header, you're going to see that this is just really storing it to, if I go to location, it's just storing it to on my C drive in this directory called OneDrive. And then if I go to Teams is actually a great way to check this out. If I go back to Teams and I go to OneDrive, these are the things that are in there, but these don't have anything to do with the files that I have right now on my OneDrive in this directory. And it's because OneDrive isn't syncing yet for me.
Okay, so
But
I wonder
keep
if
in
that
mind,
was-
I'm not running Windows 10. So so that's why I need to, that's something I need to do, is to activate my OneDrive.
Okay, well,
You guys probably don't have to do that.
I
probably.
don't even have OneDrive showing up in Teams.
They asked me what to put my email in. Which one would I use, the long one or the short one, to create an
The
account?
long one.
More than likely the long one, yeah.
So Microsoft only knows you as your county email. They do not know that our DB email exists. So
Correct.
if it's like Teams or Outlook or
The whole Office 365 license came from the county. You are right. So anything to do with Office, be it Word, Access, Outlook. I just ran to this issue, matter of fact, this morning with another employee. You would have to have a license for you to be able to access anything on 365, including Team and OneDrive.
And so your license is under your county. Okay. The other thing too is that Fairfield DD, it's what we call an alias. It's just so when somebody sends you an email to fairfielddd.com, it looks it up and says, oh, okay, they're Raymond.Schmidt at fairfieldcountyohio.gov. And so it knows how to route it to me, but it's just an alias for us. Ned, do you want to talk a little bit about the uploading?
Yes.
And why drag and drop is a bad idea?
Yes. Out of my experience since Team started and the OneDrive, when you do drag and drop, you would have the possibility of recreating the documents. You will have two copies of the same exact documents. I understand what Jay's coming from. That it's better to have everything on the server, and then he can just move it with one command into the OneDrive, and it will give him a little bit. That's true up to a point, because it requires more work. For example, like if you move a document into the same directory, it will start moving all the documents, and if it sees the same document in that directory, it will reply back, says, okay, do you want to override it? Or do you want to just have another copy? And it will add number 1 to it. So he would have to do it manually. You would have to like hit overwrite or make another copy. So that would be intense. But for drag and drop automatically with Microsoft, because it depends on if you're using Explorer, if you're using Chrome, if you're using Firefox, it will actually create a duplicate file for you on the OneDrive. And then you would have to go there manually and delete it. However, there is a patch, and I'm not sure if Bobby is on this or not, but there is a patch, a little bit of program that's written by Microsoft that will actually remedy this problem. So if it does, not everybody will have a duplicate documents, but if it does happen and one user have a duplicate document of everything they have that got transferred from the server into the OneDrive, all you have to do is just go and run this program, and it will go and actually take care of it. It will fix the problem. I hope this answers everybody's questions.
So what's your proposal then, Ned? What would be a better way to put stuff over there?
I honestly, the best things to do is copy and paste. That's the best things to do. So you would open OneDrive. I don't know if you guys can see me or not. I mean, if you can see my computer. So you would go in the bottom and you would open your folder in OneDrive, and it opens in here. And let's say like you want to copy something. This is basically my OneDrive. And if I want to copy this document, for example, so I will click right, and you see it says here, move to OneDrive.
Actually, we don't see it, Ned. Go ahead and try to share your screen now.
If you see, okay, hold on. Oh, I cannot because I'm on my phone. I'm sorry.
Well,
Looks like
I think I can demonstrate it.
Okay, so basically, you click on one of the files. You click right button mouse on one of the files that you want, and you should have an option where it says move to OneDrive. If you have OneDrive installed and up and running on your PC. So that's one option. You could use that, or you could do copy and then paste it into your OneDrive folder, which is right here. So when you open your OneDrive folder, right in the bottom, click right, just open folder. It opens your folder in here, and on the top, you will see it says OneDrive, Fairfield County, Ohio. So you have multiple options. However, if you click and hold and drag, you see what happened? Did you see? It looks like I'm one of them. So if you click and hold and try to drag, you see there's like 2 documents now. So it kept one on my computer, and if I take it to move to OneDrive, it will create a duplicate document. So you see that one's still on my computer, and it created the same thing on my OneDrive.
Okay.
So if we're currently using documents and saving our files in documents or my documents, is it being backed up?
Okay, if it's on my document, that's mean it's on your hard drive. It shouldn't be in there.
Okay.
No, Ned, aren't the things that are stored in documents on? If they're storing it in documents, isn't that backed up with their profile?
Well, there is 2 different things. I'm assuming she's talking about my document on her like if you go to Explorer, I'm assuming she's talking about documents, like my documents, if that makes sense. Because if you open your Explorer, you have documents, which is for quick access, and then you have documents for this PC, and then of course
I'm under documents under quick access. I don't know if is there a difference between documents in this PC, and they look the same.
Yeah, yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I don't want to complicate things, but I honestly, if you go to my document, it would be stored on your hard drive.
Okay.
So when I lost my desktop, this last time when my computer crashed, all of my documents were also gone.
That's exactly why you shouldn't be storing anything on your my document. You should, like what Ray said in the beginning of this session, you shouldn't really honestly, or try not to store anything on your computer.
Yeah, everything was gone again. And it wasn't even my desktop that time because I thought we could store stuff on my documents, but that was also wrong. So it lost all of that too.
Okay, so when I have like folders that have subfolders and then there's all kinds of documents in there, like if I copy the folder and paste it over, I mean, if I take the main folder, copy it, is it going to take, I mean, it's going to take all the subfolders and everything that's within that?
Yes.
They're like a limit of how much you can copy and paste at a time.
No, you have no limit. I mean, you can even, I don't want to go too technical on you guys, but even if you want, you can go and hold down the control key and click on multiple folders, documents, and everything.
I know how to do that, but.
Yeah.
Well, Monica, you try it first and let me know how that goes.
Well, if you copy and paste, your first one should still be there too, right? You have to go back and delete that one then, right?
No, if you copy and paste, if you do the, remember, right, and say move to OneDrive, you do not, because it will move everything to OneDrive, and it will create a shortcut for it on your desktop.
Okay.
So
Well,
with it being
it's
so
almost
close, I'm gonna
3:30.
jump
I'm not
in here really
messing with it
quick.
right now.
Hey guys, hang on just a minute because we've kind of gone off the rails a little bit here.
Yeah.
So let's reel it back in. I promise you that I will work with our IT team to make sure that prior to Jay pulling any triggers, we can make sure whether it's work groups or a training session or one-on-one or whatever, because I too am in this boat that we want to make sure we don't lose these files. So we'll hold on to that. It definitely reach out if you have individual questions, but we're almost out of time and I want to make sure that we can get through the rest of whatever Ray has planned for us.
No, actually, that's pretty much it. But I think your point is right there, Ann. That really what we want you to know is that that's coming. We're going to be rolling out instructions for that in much more detail, and also Jay's got some testing to do before we do it for real. But it does have some really stark advantages for us when we make that move.
I just to put everybody mind into ease, I'm working on a documents in here like for step by step how we are going to do this. And once Jay says anything, I'm going to share it with him. And trust me, we're going to have meetings. We're going to do it like step at the time, phase 1, phase 2. We're going to break it into groups. And once group 1 is done, we will move to the next group. So rest assured, you are not going to lose anything that you have on the server. Hopefully that makes everybody feels good.
Yeah, I think just listening, like taking our stuff from our desktop and putting it into the C drive is not going to be like a crazy, oh my God, how can I do this? It's really easier than what I think we're hearing it sound. I mean, you'll just copy it in there and access it from there. So I wouldn't sweat a whole lot. And then when the OneDrive rolls out, it'll be kind of a similar process.
Yeah, once it's converted over, or once we start storing things there, it works just like everything else does. So you'll find it to be really comfortable. It's just in a different location, but it just affords you a bunch more options.
Coming from someone who's lost things multiple times, I will tell you the C drive has brought me a lot of peace, and I hope I didn't freak anyone out because none of that stuff will happen to you. So save to the C drive, or call Ned, call Ray, call any of the IT people for assistance, and everything will work out.
You can call me anytime, Carissa.
If you are starting things and you want somebody to walk you through it, Teams is really good because you can share your screen and they can see what you're doing and say, oh, well, do you see this? Okay, do that. Definitely take advantage of that if you're uncomfortable, but just take one thing at a time. But we just kind of want to make sure that people are going to be able to access their documents later. The one cool thing about OneDrive that I will share is there are sometimes where files are really, really big, and you can put it in OneDrive and share the link to someone. So I worked on a PowerPoint presentation with Delaware County, and I was able to put our presentation there, send her the link, and she was able to log in and work on it as well, even though she wasn't a member of our network. So I couldn't have teamed with her, but I was able to share that link there. So it does allow for some collaboration, and hopefully they'll give us a heads up so we don't lose, everything that's in there. But there are once we get going on it, there's some cool benefits to it once we get there.
Yep.
Ray, I was going to ask, with your calculations, you had a terabyte was how many floppy disks again?
I'd have to do the math on that, but it was a lot.
Because I wanted to share this. This is a terabyte SSD hard drive that I have now. That, like, that's how far it's come. They used to be the size of a book, like a small novel, but now it's down to this, and I just take this with me, and it's everything I could ever need. It's awesome.
Well, I can tell you, when we first bought our first hard drive for the county board, it was 20 megabytes, and we were saying, how are we ever going to fill this thing? And now in my basement, I've got a 5 terabyte server running John's Disney movies. So, you know, there's things progress. Eventually, we'll have that. Well, thanks everybody for listening. It's a great Friday, and unless somebody else has any other questions, I think we're all done.
So you have a survey in your email. If you have a minute to do that before you leave today, that would be really appreciated. Definitely let us know what sessions you were at. Or Michelle has helped me a great deal trying to make sure we got attendance for everybody this afternoon. So thank you all for coming and for participating, and we'll see you later.
Yeah, I do see a couple of questions in there. If we have questions that you haven't that we haven't answered, please feel free to email me privately, and we'll go ahead and take care of all of you that way.
Anne?
Yeah.
Anne, did you
Yes.
mean we should not leave this Zoom, but somehow go to our email?
No, you can leave the Zoom. You're good.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anne, this is Tina from Benton. Will we receive emails also for the surveys? Because
I'm going to forward it to you.
Okay,
great. It just occurred to me, like, as I was putting the last ones in, but I did get check marks of you guys as well, so we'll be able to catch you both ways.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Well, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Thanks, Carissa.
Thanks, Ray. It was pretty good
Time.
information.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
You too.
Thanks, boss. All right, see you.